Supreme Commander Osriel Vax of the Hegemony Defense Fleet watched impassively as the human delegation entered the negotiation chamber aboard the star station Implacable Reason. These humans, with their strange dual symmetry bodies and curiously expressive faces, showed no outward sign of fear, despite being escorted by 8 heavily armed Hegemony guards. Osriel Vax found that interesting, if foolish. "You understand the situation," the commander began without preamble, gestures from his primary limbs activating the holographic display between them. "Your colony on Proxima Centauri B has violated hegemony territorial claims. Our patience has limits." Ambassador Elena Reyes, lead diplomat for the United Earth Authority, showed no reaction beyond a slight narrowing of her eyes. The military officer beside her, Admiral Chen, according to the intelligence briefings, remained equally composed. "We've reviewed your territorial claims, Commander," Ambassador Reyes replied. "They were filed with the Galactic Registry 72 hours after our colony was established. Interstellar law is clear on the principle of prior settlement." Osriel Vax's secondary limbs twitched in what his species recognized as amused contempt. "Interstellar law holds for species with the capacity to enforce their claims, Ambassador. The hegemony controls 37 star systems. Humanity has barely established footholds in 2. Our patience in allowing your expansion at all has been unprecedented." He gestured again, and the hologram shifted to display the hegemony battle fleet currently holding position 10 light minutes from Proxima Centauri. 27 capital ships, each carrying enough firepower to reduce a terrestrial planet's surface to molten slag. "We are prepared to be generous," Osriel Vax continued. "You will have 6 of your months to evacuate the colony. All structures and resource extraction facilities will remain intact for hegemony use. In exchange, we will recognize your claim to your home system." Admiral Chen spoke for the first time, his voice carrying a calm that Osriel Vax found perplexing given the circumstances. "And if we decline this generous offer," the hegemony commander's manipulator appendages spread wide in what his cultural briefing had told him humans would interpret as a shrug, "then we will remove the colony ourselves. We prefer to avoid this efficiency, but it makes little difference to the outcome." The human admiral nodded thoughtfully, then glanced at Ambassador Reyes, who gave him a nearly imperceptible nod. "Commander Osriel Vax," the admiral said, "before you finalize this decision, there's something you should see." He placed a small device on the table, which projected a new hologram, a real-time tactical display of space surrounding the hegemony fleet at Proxima Centauri. Osriel Vax leaned forward, compound eyes narrowing as he processed what he was seeing. Surrounding his fleet, at a distance just beyond standard sensor range, were signatures. Hundreds of them. No, thousands. "What deception is this?" he demanded. "No deception, Commander," Admiral Chen replied calmly. "Just a revelation about humanity's defensive posture. What you're seeing are automated defense platforms, what we call Sentinel drones. 38,000 of them, to be precise, each carrying a disruptor lance equivalent to your capital ship's main batteries." The hegemony officers present began urgent communications with their fleet, confirming what seemed impossible. How had humans deployed such a force without detection? "That's not all," continued Admiral Chen, manipulating the display. "We've also seeded the approach vectors to the Proxima system with quantum phase mines. Undetectable until triggered, and capable of displacing a dreadnought into hyperspace without a navigational solution." Ambassador Reyes watched the alien commander's reaction carefully. "The United Earth Authority has maintained a policy of minimal visible presence in colonized systems, Commander. It creates fewer misunderstandings. But make no mistake, we defend what's ours." Osriel Vax's primary hearts were beating uncomfortably fast as he processed the implications. If humans had deployed such defenses around a secondary colony, what protected their home system? The Hegemony Intelligence Services had reported only a modest defensive fleet around Earth, which had led to the current strategy of intimidation. "You've hidden your military capacity," he accused. A curious expression crossed Ambassador Reyes' face, something Osrielvax couldn't interpret with his limited understanding of human facial dynamics. "No, Commander. We've simply been efficient with our resources." She leaned forward slightly. "Humanity has had a troubled history. We spent millennia fighting each other before unifying. The technologies we developed for killing each other, well, let's just say, we've been careful about how we've adapted them for space." Admiral Chen touched the device again, revealing yet another tactical overlay. "This is a simulation of what would happen if your fleet attempted hostilities." The hologram showed the Hegemony ships being systematically disabled, not destroyed. Osrielvax noted with surprise, by precisely coordinated fire from the Sentinel drones. "You could destroy our fleet," Osrielvax observed. "Why show restraint in your simulation?" The Admiral's expression remained neutral. "Because we're not conquerors, Commander. We're explorers and colonists. We don't want your worlds or your resources. We simply want to develop our own. Besides," added Ambassador Reyes, "the capabilities we're showing you represent early-generation human defense systems, designs we finalized over a decade ago, deployed as a precaution. Not our current capabilities." "Not even close," Admiral Chen said quietly. The unspoken implication hung in the recycled air of the negotiation chamber. What humans were showing was already sufficient to neutralize the Hegemony's primary battle fleet, and it wasn't even their best technology. Osrielvax made a decision that would later be studied in Hegemony military academies as a textbook example of strategic reassessment. "Perhaps we have been hasty in our territorial analysis," he said carefully. "The Hegemony values diplomatic solutions when possible." Ambassador Reyes smiled. "As does humanity, Commander. We would much prefer to discuss trade agreements and cultural exchange rather than defense parameters." Later, as the human delegation prepared to depart, Osrielvax approached Admiral Chen privately. "Your species confuses me, Admiral. You possess overwhelming military capability, yet hide it. You could demand concessions from the Hegemony, yet you ask only to be left in peace." The human considered this. "There's an old saying on Earth, Commander, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. We don't believe showing strength means constantly flexing it." "And yet you were prepared," Osrielvax observed. "Always," the Admiral acknowledged. Another human saying, "Speak softly, but carry a big stick." As the Hegemony watched the human diplomatic vessel depart, Osrielvax senior intelligence officer joined him on the observation deck. "The diplomatic and scientific exchange they proposed is extensive," the officer noted. "They're giving us access to microgravity manufacturing techniques centuries ahead of our own. In exchange for cultural artifacts and biological samples, it makes no strategic sense." Osrielvax's compound eyes tracked the departing ship until it disappeared into hyperspace. "I believe, Subcommander, that the humans are doing something our species has never considered winning without conquering. And I suspect what we've seen of their capabilities is merely what they considered the minimum necessary to make their point. Which was that humanity wasn't even trying yet, and they still completely outmaneuvered us." He turned away from the viewport. "Update our strategic assessment. Humans are not to be threatened. They are to be understood."